The Galactic Conundrum. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, where countless civilizations had risen and fallen, a mystery lingered that threatened to shake the very foundations of interstellar society. The Galactic Council, a coalition of the most advanced species in the known universe, found itself facing an unprecedented challenge, one that had stumped even their brightest minds for centuries. At the heart of this cosmic conundrum lay the Nexus, an ancient artifact discovered on the fringes of explored space. This enigmatic device, no larger than a standard datapad, defied all known laws of physics and technology. Its smooth obsidian surface pulsed with an inner light that seemed to dance just beneath the skin, teasing observers with glimpses of unfathomable complexity. Zaxxlier, the venerable Arcturian representative to the Council, gazed at the Nexus with his four compound eyes, each one reflecting a mixture of frustration and wonder. His exoskeleton, usually a vibrant blue, had dulled over the years of fruitless study. Another cycle, another failure, he chittered to his colleagues gathered in the grand chamber of illumination. The chamber, a marvel of architecture that blended the styles of 100 different worlds, fell silent at his words. The assembled representatives, from the crystalline quartz collective to the gaseous nebulons, shared a moment of collective despair. Perhaps began Akira, the serpentine diplomat from Sirius Prime, her scales shimmering with bioluminescent patterns of thought. We have approached this puzzle from every conceivable angle. Our greatest scientists, our most advanced AIs, even our most esoteric philosophers, have all failed to unlock its secrets. The Nexus sat impassively on its pedestal, seemingly mocking their efforts. For centuries, it had resisted every attempt at analysis. Energy scans slid off its surface like water off a leaf. Molecular probes shattered upon contact. Even the most sophisticated quantum computers fell into recursive loops when attempting to model its behavior. HFY Vox of the Silicon Concordat, a being of pure data and light, flickered in agitation. The Nexus represents more than just a scientific curiosity. Its modulated voice reverberated through the chamber. Our projections indicate that unlocking its secrets could advance our civilizations by millennia. The potential for faster-than-light travel, unlimited energy, perhaps even the manipulation of time itself, all may lie within our grasp. A murmur of agreement rippled through the assembly. The stakes were indeed high. Entire species had devoted generations to studying the Nexus, with some even falling into decline as they obsessed over its mysteries. What options remain? Asked Glubax, the gelatinous representative of the Ooze Collective, its thoughts forming visible patterns within its translucent body. Zaxxlier's mandibles clicked in contemplation. There is one possibility we have not yet explored, he said hesitantly. The chamber grew quieter still, all attention focused on the Arcturian. There is a species, newly emerged on the galactic stage. They are primitive by our standards, barely able to achieve interplanetary travel. And yet, surely you don't mean the humans, interrupted Akira, her bioluminescence flashing in surprise. I do, confirmed Zaxxlier. Reports from our observation posts suggest a certain unpredictability in their problem-solving approaches, a creativity that defies conventional logic. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of protests and exclamations. Humans were widely regarded as a curiosity at best, a potential threat at worst. Their volatile history, marked by constant conflict and rapid technological advancement, had put many elder races on edge. HFY Vox pulsed brightly, silencing the din. Colleagues, let us consider this proposal with the gravity it deserves. We have exhausted all conventional methods. Perhaps unconventional is precisely what we need. Glubax rippled in agreement. The humans' short lifespans and limited intelligence might actually be an advantage. They are not burdened by centuries of established scientific doctrine. What do they call it? Thinking outside the box might yield unexpected results. As the debate raged on, a sense of desperate hope began to permeate the chamber. The Galactic Council, for all its accumulated wisdom, found itself contemplating an unthinkable course of action, placing the fate of the galaxy in the hands of a species that had only recently discovered the wheel. Zaxlayer raised his appendages, calling for order. Then it is decided. We shall extend an invitation to Earth, requesting their brightest minds to join our efforts. May the cosmos have mercy on us all. As the council session adjourned, the representatives filed out, their minds abuzz with possibilities and concerns. The Nexus remained on its pedestal, inscrutable as ever, waiting for the arrival of a species that might just be foolish enough, or brilliant enough, to unravel its secrets. Little did they know that this decision would set in motion a chain of events that would forever change the face of the galaxy, challenging everything they thought they knew about intelligence, creativity, and the true potential of sentient life. The stage was set. The players were chosen. And somewhere on a small blue planet, blissfully unaware of the cosmic drama about to unfold, humanity went about its daily life, on the cusp of its greatest adventure yet. Enter the humans. Dr. Samantha Chen stood at the podium, her heart racing as she faced the assembled crowd of Earth's scientific elite. The holographic projector hummed to life, displaying the message that had turned the world on its head just weeks ago. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice steady despite her nerves, "as you're all aware, we've been contacted by the Galactic Council. They've presented us with a challenge that could redefine humanity's place in the cosmos." The audience leaned forward, a palpable tension filling the auditorium. Earth's first contact with alien life had not come in the form of invasion or cultural exchange, but as a job offer, one that carried the weight of galactic importance. Dr. Chen continued, "The artifact they call the Nexus has baffled the most advanced civilizations for centuries. And now, for reasons we're still trying to comprehend, they turn to us for help." In the front row, Dr. Marcus Donovan, a renowned physicist with a penchant for unconventional theories, raised his hand. "With all due respect, Dr. Chen, why us? We're centuries behind these aliens in technology. What makes them think we can solve a problem they couldn't?" Samantha smiled, understanding the skepticism. It was a question they'd all grappled with since the invitation arrived. "That, Dr. Donovan, is precisely what we need to figure out. The Council believes our unique perspective might be the key." As the briefing continued, the team selected to represent humanity was introduced. Dr. Chen, a quantum physicist with a background in archaeology. Dr. Donovan, whose theories on multidimensional physics had initially been laughed out of academia. Dr. Aisha Kazemi, a prodigy in artificial intelligence and neural networks. And rounding out the core team, Dr. Joao Silva, whose work in theoretical biology had revolutionized our understanding of life itself. They were an eclectic group, chosen not just for their brilliance, but for their ability to think beyond conventional boundaries. As the briefing concluded, the weight of their mission settled upon their shoulders. They would be humanity's ambassadors to the stars, tasked with solving a puzzle that had stumped the greatest minds in the galaxy. Weeks later, as their ship approached the massive space station that served as the headquarters for the Galactic Council, the human team struggled to contain their awe. The station was a marvel of engineering, a sprawling metropolis suspended in the void, home to representatives from thousands of worlds. As they docked, Dr. Chen turned to her team. "Remember," she said, her eyes gleaming with a mixture of excitement and determination, "we're not here to prove we're smarter than anyone. We're here to offer a fresh perspective. Let's show them what humanity can do." The airlock hissed open, revealing a delegation of alien dignitaries. At the forefront stood Zaxlayer, his blue exoskeleton now shimmering with anticipation. "Welcome, humans," he chittered, his translator converting the sounds into perfect English. "We've been eagerly awaiting your arrival." As the team was led through the station's winding corridors, they couldn't help but feel like exhibits in a cosmic zoo. Aliens of all shapes and sizes stopped to stare, some with curiosity, others with barely concealed skepticism. Finally, they arrived at the chamber housing the Nexus. The artifact sat on its pedestal, just as enigmatic as in the reports they'd studied. Dr. Donovan whistled low. Well, I'll be damned. It's even more impressive in person. Zaxlier gestured towards the Nexus. As you can see, it defies all conventional analysis. We've tried everything from quantum resonance scans to psychic probes. Nothing has yielded results. Dr. Kazemi stepped forward, her eyes narrowing as she studied the device. Have you attempted any form of direct interaction? Physical contact, perhaps? The assembled aliens exchanged glances that could only be described as embarrassed. We have not, admitted Akira, slithering into view. The artifact's unpredictable nature made such attempts seem unwise. Joao chuckled, earning him a sharp look from Dr. Chen. Sorry, he said, not sounding sorry at all. It's just, sometimes the simplest approach is the best, you know. Before anyone could stop him, Joao reached out and placed his hand directly on the Nexus. The chamber fell silent, every being holding their breath, or equivalent respiratory function. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a soft hum, the Nexus began to glow. Patterns of light danced across its surface, pulsing in rhythm with Joao's heartbeat. Fascinating, breathed Dr. Chen, quickly pulling out a scanner. It's responding to his bioelectrical field. But why him? Why now? As the team huddled around the Nexus, their instruments whirring to life, the alien observers watched in a mixture of shock and awe. These humans, barely out of their planetary cradle, had made more progress in minutes than they had in centuries. High Arctian Vox flickered rapidly, its light patterns indicating intense computation. This defies all logic. How could they succeed where we failed? Zaxlier chittered softly, his compound eyes fixed on the humans as they worked. Perhaps, he mused, that is precisely the point. They succeed because they do not know they should fail. As news of the humans' initial breakthrough spread through the station, a ripple of excitement and unease swept through the galactic community. The humans had proven themselves more capable than anyone had anticipated. But this was just the beginning. In the days that followed, the human team worked tirelessly, approaching the Nexus from angles that the alien scientists found baffling, even absurd. Dr. Donovan insisted on playing music to the artifact, claiming that vibrations might unlock its secrets. Dr. Kazemi developed an AI that mimicked the Nexus's energy patterns, attempting to communicate with it on its own terms. And through it all, Dr. Chen coordinated their efforts, piecing together the puzzle bit by bit. It's not just a device, she explained to an enraptured audience of alien scientists. It's a key to understanding the very fabric of the universe. As the humans made progress, whispers began to circulate through the station. Some spoke of the humans with newfound respect, marveling at their adaptability and creative thinking. Others, however, grew wary. If these primitive beings could unravel the mysteries of the Nexus, what else might they be capable of? The balance of power in the galaxy was shifting, all because a group of stupid humans had dared to think differently. As they stood on the brink of a discovery that would change everything, one question loomed large in the minds of every being on the station. What would happen when humanity fully unlocked the secrets of the Nexus? The answer, they all sensed, would reshape the cosmos itself. Unconventional approaches. As days turned into weeks, the human team's progress on the Nexus continued to astound the galactic community. The Grand Chamber of Illumination, once a place of somber deliberation, now buzzed with activity as scientists from across the cosmos flocked to witness the unfolding miracle. Dr. Samantha Chen stood before a holographic representation of the Nexus, her eyes alight with the fervor of discovery. The key, she explained to a rapt audience of multispecies researchers, is not in trying to force the Nexus to conform to our understanding of physics. Instead, we need to expand our understanding to encompass the Nexus. Dr. Marcus Donovan chimed in, his wild hair even more disheveled than usual. It's like trying to describe color to a species that can only see in infrared. We're not just dealing with advanced technology here. We're dealing with a fundamentally different way of interacting with reality itself. The alien scientists exchanged glances, a mixture of confusion and begrudging admiration evident in their varied physiologies. Lubax, the gelatinous representative of the ooze collective, rippled with curiosity. But how do you propose we achieve such an expansion of understanding? Our civilizations have spent millennia refining our scientific methods. Dr. Aisha Kazemi stepped forward, a mischievous glint in her eye. That's exactly the problem. You've spent so long refining your methods that you've lost the ability to think outside them. We humans, on the other hand, excel at making illogical leaps. To demonstrate her point, Kazemi pulled up a series of images on the holographic display. These are what we call optical illusions on Earth. They exploit the quirks of our visual processing to make us see things that aren't there, or to see the same thing in multiple ways. The assembled aliens leaned in, their sensory organs straining to make sense of the images. Some recoiled in confusion, while others emitted sounds of surprise or distress. You see, Kazemi continued, our brains are constantly making assumptions and filling in gaps based on incomplete information. It's a survival mechanism that allowed our ancestors to quickly identify threats and opportunities, but it also allows us to make creative connections and see patterns where others might not. Dr. Joao Silva, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, suddenly perked up. That's it, he exclaimed, rushing to the nexus. We've been trying to analyze the nexus as a whole, but what if it's like one of these illusions? What if the key is in what we're not seeing? The human team sprang into action, their excitement palpable. They began reconfiguring their equipment, setting up sensors to detect not just the obvious emissions from the nexus, but also the spaces between, the voids and shadows that had been dismissed as background noise. As they worked, the alien observers found themselves drawn into the humans' infectious enthusiasm. Species that had been bitter rivals for eons now stood side by side, offering suggestions and support. High Arction Vox, its form flickering with intense computation, addressed the assembly. I must confess, I had my doubts about involving the humans in this endeavor, but witnessing their methods, as chaotic and unpredictable as they may be, has forced me to reconsider many of my long-held beliefs about the nature of intelligence and problem-solving. Zaxlier chittered in agreement, his blue exoskeleton now pulsing with a vibrant energy. Perhaps, he mused, it is not despite their primitive nature that they succeed, but because of it. They are unencumbered by the weight of our accumulated knowledge, free to explore avenues we would dismiss as foolish or impossible. As the day wore on, the chamber became a hive of activity. Humans and aliens worked side by side, breaking down barriers of communication and understanding that had seemed insurmountable just weeks before. The nexus, still inscrutable, nonetheless seemed to pulse with a new energy, as if responding to the combined efforts of the assembled beings. Dr. Chen, taking a rare moment of rest, found herself approached by Akira, the serpentine diplomat from Sirius Prime. Dr. Chen, Akira began, her scales shimmering with complex patterns. I must ask, how do you maintain such optimism in the face of such an overwhelming challenge? Do you not fear failure? Samantha smiled, her exhaustion evident, but her spirit undiminished. Of course we fear failure, Akira, but we fear stagnation more. Throughout human history, our greatest achievements have come when we dared to attempt the impossible, to dream beyond our current capabilities. She gestured to the bustling chamber, where beings from 100 worlds now worked in harmony. Look at what we've accomplished already. We may not have unlocked the nexus yet, but we've brought the galaxy together in a way never before seen. That alone is worth celebrating. Akira's patterns shifted, reflecting deep thought. You humans continue to surprise us. Perhaps we have much to learn from each other. As night fell, or what passed for night on a space station, the team decided to try something truly unorthodox. Dr. Donovan, with his penchant for the absurd, suggested they attempt to communicate with the nexus through art and music. Think about it, he argued, his eyes gleaming with excitement. If the nexus operates on principles beyond our current understanding, maybe we need to approach it through means beyond pure logic. Art, music, dance, these are universal languages of emotion and expression. Though some of the alien scientists scoffed at the idea, others embraced it with surprising enthusiasm. Soon, the chamber was filled with a cacophony of sounds and sights from across the galaxy. Crystalline beings from the Quartz Collective created intricate light shows, their bodies refracting and reflecting beams of colored light. The nebulons composed haunting melodies that seemed to echo through multiple dimensions. Even Gluebax got into the spirit, its gelatinous form undulating in complex patterns that were both beautiful and slightly nauseating to watch. In the midst of this interstellar artistic exhibition, something extraordinary began to happen. The nexus, which had remained stubbornly opaque to all previous attempts at interaction, began to resonate. Its surface rippled with colors and patterns that seemed to respond to the artistic displays around it. Dr. Chen, her eyes wide with wonder, approached the artifact. As she reached out to touch it, the nexus pulsed with a brilliant light. For a brief moment, Samantha felt as if she could see everything. The interconnectedness of all things, the underlying patterns of the universe itself. As quickly as it had come, the vision faded, but in its wake, it left a profound understanding. "It's not just a key," she whispered, her voice filled with awe. "It's a doorway to a level of reality we've only dreamed of." The chamber fell silent, all eyes on Dr. Chen, and the now quietly humming nexus. They stood on the precipice of a discovery that would reshape their understanding of the universe itself, and it had taken the combined efforts of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations and a group of primitive humans to get there. As the implications of their breakthrough began to sink in, one thing became clear. The adventure was only just beginning. The true test lay ahead. What would they do with the knowledge the Nexus offered? How would it change them? And the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. The humans, once dismissed as barely worthy of notice, now found themselves at the center of a cosmic revolution. And as they looked out at the sea of alien faces, filled with a mixture of hope and apprehension, they realized that their greatest challenge was yet to come. The Nexus had been unlocked. Now they had to decide what to do with the power it offered. The breakthrough. The revelation that the Nexus was not just a key but a doorway to a higher level of reality sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. The Grand Chamber of Illumination, once a bastion of orderly debate, now teemed with a mixture of excitement, fear, and frenzied speculation. Dr. Samantha Chen stood at the center of the storm, her team arrayed around her like a protective barrier against the onslaught of questions and demands from the assembled alien representatives. The Nexus, now pulsing with a steady, mesmerizing light, seemed to watch the proceedings with an almost sentient interest. Order. We must have order. Zack Slyer's voice cut through the cacophony, his chittering amplified by the chamber's acoustics. As the noise died down, he continued, "Dr. Chen, please, explain to us what exactly you've discovered. What do you mean by a doorway to a higher level of reality?" Samantha took a deep breath, keenly aware that her next words could shape the future of galactic civilization. Based on our interactions with the Nexus, we believe it's a gateway to what we might call a metaverse, a realm that exists beyond our current understanding of space-time. It's not just another dimension, but a layer of reality that encompasses and transcends our own. Dr. Marcus Donovan stepped forward, his wild hair seemingly standing even more on end with excitement. "Imagine our universe as a two-dimensional painting," he explained, gesturing wildly. "We're like flat figures in that painting, unable to perceive depth. The Nexus is offering us a way to step off the canvas, to see the painting from the outside, in 3 dimensions. A murmur rippled through the chamber as the implications began to sink in. High Arctian Vox flickered rapidly, its light patterns indicating intense processing. "If what you say is true, the possibilities are incalculable." the ability to manipulate reality itself, to transcend the laws of physics as we know them. Exactly, Dr. Aisha Kazemi chimed in, her eyes gleaming. But it's not just about manipulating reality. It's about understanding it on a fundamental level. The Nexus isn't just showing us a new world, it's showing us the underlying code of existence itself. The excitement in the room was palpable, but so was the undercurrent of fear. Ikera, her scales shimmering with complex patterns of anxiety, voiced what many were thinking. But are we ready for such knowledge? The potential for misuse, for catastrophic consequences, if we make even the slightest mistake. Dr. Joao Silva, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. "You're right to be cautious," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "This isn't just a scientific breakthrough. It's an evolutionary leap for all sentient life. We need to approach it with both wonder and responsibility." As the debate raged on, with various factions arguing for caution, exploration, or even containment of the Nexus, the human team huddled together, acutely aware of the weight of their discovery. "We need to demonstrate the potential," Samantha whispered to her colleagues, "not just theorize about it. If we can show them a glimpse of what's possible, maybe we can guide this in a positive direction." With a nod of agreement from her team, Samantha approached the Nexus. The chamber fell silent as she placed her hand on its surface, closing her eyes in concentration. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a soft hum that seemed to resonate through every being present, the Nexus began to glow. The air in the chamber shimmered, and suddenly, the vast expanse of space appeared around them. But this wasn't just a holographic projection. It felt real, as if the chamber had expanded to encompass the cosmos itself. Gasps of awe echoed through the assembly as they found themselves floating among the stars. Galaxies swirled around them, nebulae bloomed in cosmic gardens, and the intricate dance of celestial bodies played out on a scale never before witnessed. "This," Samantha's voice echoed, somehow heard by all despite the vastness of the space, "is just the surface. The Nexus allows us to see and interact with the fundamental forces that shape our universe." As if to demonstrate, she gestured, and a nearby star began to age rapidly, its life cycle compressed into mere moments. They watched in awe as it swelled into a red giant, then collapsed, exploding in a spectacular supernova before settling into a quietly spinning neutron star. "We can observe, understand, and potentially guide the evolution of entire galaxies," Marcus added, his voice filled with wonder. "Imagine the scientific advancements, the ability to prevent cosmic disasters, to ensure the long-term survival of all our species." Aisha stepped forward, her form seeming to shimmer with the starlight around them. "But it's not just about the big picture. The Nexus gives us insight into the quantum realm as well. We can see the very building blocks of matter and energy, understand consciousness itself on a level we never dreamed possible." As the assembled beings floated in this cosmic display, the implications began to truly sink in. This wasn't just a new technology or a scientific breakthrough. It was a fundamental shift in the nature of existence for all sentient life. Joao, his eyes reflecting the starlight, spoke softly but with conviction. "We stand at a crossroads. This power, this understanding, it could be our greatest triumph or our ultimate downfall. The choice of how to use it, how to move forward, belongs to all of us." Slowly, the cosmic vision faded, and the beings found themselves back in the chamber. But something had changed. The awe of what they had witnessed lingered, creating a sense of unity that transcended species and old rivalries. Zaxlier, his exoskeleton now a deep, thoughtful blue, broke the silence. "We have much to discuss, much to consider. But one thing is clear. We cannot approach this as individual species or factions. The Nexus offers us a glimpse of the interconnectedness of all things. Perhaps it's time we embraced that interconnectedness ourselves." High Archenvox pulsed in agreement. "The humans have shown us not just the potential of the Nexus, but the value of diverse perspectives. There, Unconventional thinking has unlocked secrets we thought impossible to decipher. As the Galactic Council began to debate in earnest about the path forward, the human team exchanged glances. They had done it. They had not only solved the mystery of the Nexus, but had potentially reshaped the future of galactic civilization. Samantha, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders, addressed the council once more. What we do next will define not just our species, not just our time, but the very fabric of reality itself. We have opened the door. Now we must decide, together, how to step through it. The chamber buzzed with a new energy, one of possibility, of potential, and of a shared destiny. The journey that had begun with a simple invitation to a primitive species had led to the threshold of a new era for all sentient life. As discussions began in earnest about the formation of a new unified approach to exploring and utilizing the Nexus, one thing became clear: the galaxy would never be the same. And humanity, once dismissed as barely worth noticing, now stood at the forefront of the greatest adventure in cosmic history. The breakthrough had been made. Now, the true work, and the true test of all species involved, was about to begin. A new era of cooperation. In the weeks following the revelation of the Nexus's true nature, the Galactic Council underwent a transformation unlike any in its long history. The Grand Chamber of the Illumination, once a place of political maneuvering and careful diplomacy, had become a bustling center of interspecies collaboration. Dr. Samantha Chen stood at the heart of it all, coordinating teams of scientists, philosophers, and visionaries from across the cosmos. The human team, once regarded as primitive upstarts, now found themselves in the role of mediators and innovators, bridging gaps between civilizations that had been separated by millennia of divergent evolution and ideology. The key, Samantha explained to a group of eager young researchers from a dozen different worlds, is to approach the Nexus not as a tool to be used, but as a partner in exploration. It's not just a doorway, it's a teacher, a guide to understanding the very fabric of reality. Dr. Marcus Donovan, his hair now streaked with silver from the stress and excitement of recent weeks, chimed in. Think of it like learning a new language. The language of the universe itself. We're not just observing anymore. We're starting to have a conversation with reality. The chamber hummed with activity as holographic displays flickered with equations and models that would have been incomprehensible just months ago. Species that had once been bitter rivals now worked side by side, their unique perspectives combining to unlock new layers of understanding. Zaxlier, who had become something of a mentor to the human team, approached Samantha with a look of concern in his compound eyes. Dr. Chen, a moment of your time. As they stepped aside, he continued, his voice low, there's growing pressure from some factions to move faster, to begin applying our new knowledge to solve, shall we say, more practical problems. Samantha nodded, understanding the implications. Despite the spirit of cooperation, there were still those who saw the Nexus as a means to gain power, to reshape the galaxy according to their own vision. We need to be careful, she replied. The Nexus isn't just a new technology. It's a fundamental shift in our understanding of existence. Moving too fast could have catastrophic consequences. As if on cue, alarms began to blare throughout the chamber. Holographic displays flickered and distorted, and a low, ominous hum emanated from the Nexus itself. What's happening? Akira slithered up, her scales flashing with patterns of distress. Dr. Aisha Kazemi was already at the main control panel, her fingers flying over the holographic interface. Someone's trying to force a connection with the Nexus, she shouted over the growing chaos. They're attempting to access higher dimensional space without proper preparation. The chamber erupted into panic as the consequences of such an action became clear. Forcing entry into the metaverse without fully understanding the implications could tear the fabric of reality itself, potentially destroying not just their universe, but countless others. In the midst of the chaos, Dr. Joao Silva's voice cut through the noise. Everyone, calm down. Panic will only make this worse. We need to work together, now more than ever. As the assembled beings turned to him, Joe continued, his voice steady and reassuring. The Nexus responded to our collective artistic expression before. Maybe that's the key. Not force, not cold logic, but a unified expression of our desire to understand and coexist with the universe. Understanding dawned on Samantha's face. Of course, the Nexus isn't just a machine or a portal. It's a living embodiment of the universe's consciousness. We need to communicate with it, not try to control it. With a nod to her team, Samantha addressed the chamber. Everyone, listen carefully. We need to form a psychic link, a collective consciousness. Focus on harmony, on unity, on our shared desire to explore and understand. As the idea spread, a hush fell over the chamber. Beings of all forms, crystalline, gaseous, energy-based, and organic, joined hands, tentacles, or simply moved closer together. The human team stood at the center, acting as a focal point for the gathered consciousness of the galaxy's greatest minds. Samantha placed her hand on the Nexus, closing her eyes and opening her mind. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, like a wave crashing over them, a sense of connection swept through the chamber. Every being present felt a sudden, profound understanding, not just of the Nexus, but of each other and their place in the cosmic tapestry. The alarms fell silent. The ominous hum faded, replaced by a soft, almost musical tone. The Nexus glowed with a warm, inviting light, pulsing in rhythm with the collective heartbeat of the assembled beings. As the immediate crisis passed, a new sense of purpose filled the chamber. The gathered representatives of the galaxy's civilizations looked at each other with new eyes, seeing not alien others, but fellow travelers on an infinite cosmic journey. High Archon Vox, its form shimmering with emotion, addressed the assembly. We stand at the dawn of a new era. The Nexus has shown us not just the secrets of the universe, but the importance of our unity. We are all connected, all part of a greater whole. Zaxlier chittered in agreement. The humans, in their beautiful simplicity, have taught us a valuable lesson. It is not conquest or control that will lead us to enlightenment, but cooperation and mutual understanding. As the implications of what had transpired sank in, plans began to form. Not for weapons or tools of domination, but for collaborative projects that would benefit all sentient life. Ideas flowed freely. Terraforming inhospitable planets, harnessing the energy of dying stars to birth new ones, even exploring the possibility of communication with other universes. Samantha, exhausted but exhilarated, gathered her team. "We did it," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "We not only solved the mystery of the Nexus, but we've potentially changed the course of galactic history." Marcus grinned, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "Not bad for a bunch of primitive humans, eh?" Aisha laughed, the tension of recent events finally releasing. "I think we've earned ourselves a vacation. Maybe a nice, relaxing trip to a black hole." As laughter rippled through the team, Joel looked out at the bustling chamber, now alive with a new sense of purpose and unity. "You know," he mused, "I think this is just the beginning. We've opened a door, but the real journey is only just starting." Samantha nodded, her eyes shining with the promise of adventures to come. "You're right. We've taken the first step into a larger universe, and we'll face whatever comes next the same way we solved the mystery of the Nexus, together." As news of the breakthrough spread across the galaxy, a wave of hope and excitement followed. Species that had long isolated themselves reached out to their neighbors. Ancient rivalries were set aside in the face of the vast possibilities that lay before them. The age of division was ending, replaced by an era of unprecedented cooperation and shared discovery. And at the heart of it all stood humanity, no longer seen as primitive or foolish, but as valued members of the galactic community. Their unique perspective, their ability to think outside established norms, and their irrepressible spirit of exploration had not only unlocked the secrets of the Nexus, but had reminded the galaxy of the power of diversity and unity. As the Galactic Council adjourned to begin the monumental task of guiding their civilizations into this new age, Samantha and her team stood before the Nexus one last time. Its glow seemed to pulse in harmony with their heartbeats, a silent acknowledgement of the journey they had undertaken and the infinite possibilities that lay ahead. The mystery of the Nexus had been solved, but the greatest adventure, the exploration of a universe now revealed to be far more vast and wondrous than anyone had imagined, was just beginning. And humanity, once dismissed as too stupid to contribute, would be at the forefront, ready to face whatever marvels and challenges awaited them among the stars.